Alright, here's how to replace a one-piece bottom bracket and crank set with a three-piece. And what we're going to do is also install sealed bearing bottom bracket kit as well when we do this. So first you need to get your old cranks off. Now it's kind of hard to see because this is black, but there's a nut on here, a washer, and then a kind of a bearing cone. So to take it off, you turn it the opposite way that you think you would need to turn it to take it off. So you turn it clockwise and the nut will come off. Obviously you'll need to use a wrench because yours will be tighter than this. There's a washer, and then this one, and this part you turn clockwise using a screwdriver and the little grooves on it. So you just loosen that up, take it off, and then just sort of twist that thing out like that. So this part where the bearings were riding is just pressed in there, so we just need to bang it out of there with a hammer and some kind of either wooden or metal punch. Alright, this is probably not the best idea, but it's what we have around. So I'm going to use just a long socket and a sledgehammer. Let's see where we can get this thing to budge.
Oh, sugar!
We got a winner. Cling! And that goes off into the weeds, and we're good to go. So now we have a hollow tube here. Just take a look through there. You can see the stuff is it was just pressed in there. So now we're just going to press our new arrangement into there, our new bottom bracket, sealed bearing bottom bracket. This is American size. That's the fattest size, and then there's mid-size and there's Spanish size, a bunch of different sizes. So most likely, if you have one of these deals, yours is American size, and that's the size of sealed bearing bottom bracket kit you're looking for. You can, on Dan's Comp, we found a bunch of different sealed bearing bottom bracket kits, and we just picked one, and it comes with bearings in these little inserts that we're going to insert into here to hold the cranks, and then we're going to put on some of these Sunday Saker cranks. This is our bearing press. It's made of an 8-inch long bolt from Home Depot. A couple of washers on it. Make sure the washers are as big around or bigger than the sealed bearing kit you're going to be using. And then I've got a neoprene washer here on top of that so that it doesn't get all scratched up. And then on the other side, a couple more washers and another neoprene washer. So we put those on this end, put the bearing in the bike, and then screw the nut down. And that will press the bottom bracket into the bike. If you don't, now this has cost about $5 for all these parts, and I suppose if you were careful with them, you could even return most of them to Home Depot if you're a cheapskate. So there's really no reason to be banging on your bike with a hammer. You'll see people on the internet installing bottom brackets with a rubber mallet and pounding it in, and that'll work if you're careful. But this is a lot safer and friendlier on your parts. The first things we're going to take out of the kit are both side bearings and the little tube that goes inside of there. So we're going to put them on the bolt with this tube in the middle and then just press them in like that. The little tube protects the spindle that goes through there and keeps the dirt out of the bearings. So you want to have all three of these parts in there. Alright, so we put a lot of grease in here, and then we're going to just put the bearing kit in. Stick the bolt through from the back side. Put the little tube in there, and then the other side on here. And with a rubber washer, big metal washer, little metal washer, and our nut. Now before I start cranking this down, I want to make sure that I at least get them started, pointed in the right direction. On the back side, it's gone in a little ways on its own. Alright, so now we just turn the crank, turn the crank, turn the crank, turn the crank, keep turning the crank. Now you just want to check and make sure that it's flush all the way around, top and bottom. And then once that's done, you just unscrew this part. Now we know that's pressed in straight, and we know it hasn't been beat up by being hammered. The rubber washer protected the black paint here from getting damaged. The little tube on the inside that the spindle goes through is a little bit crooked, so I can just pry in there with my bolt and kind of move it around until it's sufficiently centered for my spindle to go through. So now I've got the tube aligned in the middle. I'm going to put a lot of grease on this. In this operation, more grease is better than no grease, so we're just greasing everything up to make it slippery. And then we send it through here. So we have
Shut up, Jimmy!
So we have a couple of washers here. One of them has kind of a smooth sloping upslope on it, and that goes on the side where there is going to be no gear, the non-drive side. And then on the drive side, you've got this one that's got kind of a little indentation on it, and the indentation goes outward towards the chain. And then you've got a little stack of washers, and you're going to put the stack of washers, however many washers you need to space out your crank appropriately, so that your chain lines up with the back wheel in a straight line. Alright, so on the right side of the bike, we're going to install the crank. Tighten down this end bolt, and then tighten down this pinch bolt. That's pretty easy, and then there's the other side where we're going to need to shim it out. I am checking to make sure there's clearance, and there's plenty of clearance. Okay, on this side, you've got this called the top hat washer. You can see that it has a skinny part and a fat part, and that is going to go through your sprocket, your front sprocket. So once that washer is pressed into there, then you're going to put it on here and line it up with your chain. Now you'll probably need a new chain for this operation, or just need to shorten your chain, but what we're looking for is just a straight line from the back wheel to the sprocket. And the kit comes with a whole bunch of washers that you can put in there to move it out if it's not straight. So just line it up, make a straight line, and if it's not straight, take your bag of washers and stack washers behind it until it is straight with the back wheel. Alright, now that you've determined how many spacers you need, you can remove the sprocket and then connect it to your crank. So this crank is going to connect up to the sprocket using a bolt. Some have a pin, some have a bolt. And you put the bolt through the hole in your sprocket and then tighten it down. There we go. So I left it a little bit loose while I put it on here, and then I'm going to get an Allen wrench in here and tighten it down the final way once I know that it's on there, and I've got these cranks 180 degrees apart. Now we tighten this end bolt so it doesn't rock back and forth, side to side. Get it on there tight. We tighten this up here to hold the crank on, and then we put the pedals on. Did you guys take the pedals off the old bike?
No. We actually could not figure out the equation of which way we couldn't take it off.
Alright, you gotta watch my pedal video.
Hey, I have a pedal video too.
I know, I told them to watch it. It's only a minute long. But they thought it was fun. They should fight. Oh, there we go. Alright, there's the finished product. Sealed bottom bracket. Sunday's Sacred cranks. Looking good. Now we test drive it and make sure it works.